crazy. I was gone for 2 months from YouTube, and like I come back, everybody's reading this magic tidying up book. Everybody's reorganizing their closet and folding their clothes in special ways, and Bruce Jenner became a chick. Like I don't know, things are crazy. So okay, so welcome back to my channel, everybody. Today's video is gonna be about finances, and this is something I feel really passionate about, and I always have. I think it's something everybody should be passionate about because it's your money, it's your financial life. You should get it in order to some degree. I am by no means any kind of expert. I know very little on the subject, only what I've learned. But today's video is going to just be a focus on my favorite financial books that I have read, some books that I am planning on reading. I will do a separate video on some of my favorite resources as far as blogging and vlogging. There's some really great YouTubers out there that are taking you along on their financial journeys, and they're really worth watching. They just inspire me and make me want to just slash my grocery budget and live on a really tight budget. So in any event, let's get started with my favorite books. Off the bat, let's just get it out there. Anybody who knows anything about living some kind of financially debt-free life, you're going to know about the words Dave Ramsey. My husband and I did not take Financial Peace at a church or a synagogue or anything like that. We ordered the kit and we did the kit at home, and we really enjoyed it. We waited for there to be a sale, and I really recommend it whether you're a married couple, a single person. It's common sense teaching, and you don't have to be a Christian to enjoy what he teaches. I think his radio show is phenomenal. I think some of the advice he gives is phenomenal. So I'm a big fan. I don't agree with every single thing in his like system. I'm not like a super hardcore Dave Ramsey debt-free person, but I do think there's something really important that he teaches, and that's basically just get your stuff in order, get your financial house in order. So with that being said, anything by Dave Ramsey. I love the Financial Peace book. It comes with a workbook if you want to do that whole thing. I would highly recommend, if you're not interested in going and taking a class, I would highly recommend just ordering the kit. We got the one with the DVDs and the CDs, and when we were working really hard to just save up and pay off some of our debts and things like that, I loved having the CDs available because I could just listen to it in my car if I wanted to. Nowadays, you can listen to the podcast and things like that. So I do just recommend it. I really enjoyed the product. I really like what he says. It really gets you motivated. I recommend it. I think it's a really good product. So that's being that. I'm looking at my list down here, so I'm just going to cross that out. The next thing I'm going to mention is, you may or may not have heard of him. He's usually on the, in the personal finance section, is stuff by David Bach. He's been featured on the Today Show and NBC News. David Bach started his writing career with this big book he did called The Automatic Millionaire, and it's a really quick read. I finished it within like a few hours. It's very quick, easy, fast-paced. It's just, again, also common sense. It's not so much about becoming debt-free. It's more about saving up for retirement. It just kind of changes the way you kind of look at things, and it's basically, the gist of the book is about how one should prepare for their retirement and major events in their life by automatically making their bank accounts automatically deduct things for each of their budget categories, which is a really smart thing to do. So if you haven't picked it up, it's a quick read. It's not terribly long. I would recommend it. It just kind of makes you think about like, this is something kind of different if you haven't thought about automatically deducting things like for your 401k or your children's college plans, things like that. So it's just something I would recommend. So David Bach, Automatic Millionaire, I really liked it. I read it years ago. I'll probably reread it again because every year I like to, reread things that especially with nonfiction, if it's something I haven't read in a really long time, I'll pick it up and just fall in love with it all over again. One that I recently read that I really enjoyed was, and I do read her blog as well. I don't read it as much anymore because it's kind of the direction of the blog. It's the Money Saving Mom blog by Crystal Paine. And I started reading this years ago, and the direction of the site has changed a lot. It's a lot more business oriented. It's still chock full of great recipes, printables, free printables. She does all kinds of like ebooks and things like that. If you are super big, she's also a big Dave Ramsey follower. She paid cash for her house, her previous home. And if you're really into the cash-based system and living frugally, it might be a site you might want to check out if you haven't done so already. But she came out with a couple of books actually. But the first book that she came out with was the Money Saving Mom's Budget: Slash Your Spending, Pay Down Your Debt, and Streamline Your Life. Now I have both the book, I read it on my Kindle, and I purchased the audiobook, and I love listening to the audiobook chapter on the reason I love the book is because she doesn't just talk about budgeting. She talks about grocery spending, reining in that grocery budget. If you're unfamiliar with couponing, she talks a little bit about that, but like it's not a big couponing book. It talks briefly about it, but she dedicates an entire chapter to decluttering your house, and how this is what I loved about it was when you find that your house is too cluttered and your life is too cluttered and you can't breathe, you're going to overspend. And I really truly believe that. So that was I have the audiobook and the actual Kindle book. I love this book. I think it's a good read, especially for any mom, a stay-at-home mom or a working mom who just wants to get their life a little bit more in order, and especially with meal planning and grocery shopping, things like that. So I found it a pretty inspiring resource. And again, I would recommend the audiobook. I listen to it in my car sometimes when I just need a little bit of motivation not to go spend stuff. So really like that book. If you haven't done so, it should be available at your library. I'm also a big fan of, before you purchase a book, I live at my library. I would definitely recommend finding these books at the library first before you purchase them. So Money Saving Mom. She also came out with a new one, Say Goodbye to Survival Mode, and I would like to read that. That's on my to-do list as far as books I would like to read. So when I do get through that, I will let you know how that is. It looks like a pretty good read. I'm all for any kind of book that's going to encourage my homemaking efforts. The next book that I absolutely was life-changing for me was The Millionaire Next Door: The Surprising Secrets of America's Wealthy. This book came out years ago, and the guy that wrote it, Thomas Stanley, he wrote a bunch of books. Like if you just Google Millionaire Next Door, I believe it was his PhD dissertation that he and his partner, they did this study, and they basically examined America's wealthiest. And the funny part was about the book, the irony about the book was that like the people that you would think were not nearly as wealthy as you would think that they are were actually the wealthiest. And it really gives you a glimpse into how the wealthiest people are seriously the most frugal people. Like they don't shop at fancy stores. One billionaire came in wearing a JCPenney suit in one of the interviews, and it just really gave me a different perspective. I think it's a great read. I will warn you, it is chock full of data. You may be skimming some things. I found myself to get a little bored during some sections. There's a lot of data analysis in it, but the gist of the book, you walk away from it kind of having a new respect for your frugal kind of ways, and you kind of get a little bit more inspired. There was one guy that had like a stock split, and they're doing an interview with him and his wife is sitting there clipping coupons, and he's like, I just deposited like, I don't remember the quote. It was like something like $5 million in your account or something, and she goes, oh, well, that's nice, dear, and she keeps clipping her coupons, and it just kind of gave me a different perspective that like, you don't have to be, just because you look like $1 million doesn't mean you're worth $1 million. So it just kind of made me realize like the most richest looking people are probably the brokest people. And it kind of just encouraged me to take pride in my minivan, and it's an older used car, and et cetera, et cetera. So a really good read. I would highly recommend it. The Millionaire Next Door, The Surprising Secrets of America's Wealthy, it really changed my perspective. If you haven't picked it up, it's at like every library. I would definitely recommend it. The next book is not as popular. This woman, I think it's Carrie Rocha. I found this on my Kindle and suggested reads, and I started the first chapter or two, and it spoke to me. And then my understanding is she writes a blog, and then she got a book deal. It's called Pocket Your Dollars, and this was a great read. Again, really quick. It was easy, but this book struck a chord with me because there was one chapter where she's discussing her and her husband Marco's debt and how they wanted to save up for this vacation, yet they couldn't. They basically realized all of a sudden that they weren't living within their means, and the way that she leads up to the description of it kind of goes boink, like, oh my God, I've so done that. I can't believe I've been living like that. And it really, I read it a year or two ago. I don't know if you could find it at the library. I haven't seen it. I only found it on the Kindle, but I would recommend it. I thought it was a very good book. It was kind of interesting in her description of her marriage and what, I took something away from it. I thought it was worth the money that I paid for the book. I got it on sale, I think, on a Kindle thing for I want to say $9 or something. So to me, it was worth the $9. I have gone back and reread it several times when I need to remind myself and just to remember why it is important to pocket those dollars. And it's just the way that she leads up to the description of how she got to the point of their financial, almost ruin. It really was a great lead up to how they kind of turn things around. So if you've read it, please leave me a comment and let me know, because it's not I don't see it on bookshelves and stuff. It's not a super popular book at least that I've seen. But if you have read it, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. So Pocket Your Dollars by Carrie Rocha, I would recommend it. This is an oldie but a goodie, Miserly Moms. If you're a mom or you are a working mom looking to cut your grocery budget and find wiggle room if you're looking to stay home, I started reading this when I was pregnant with my first child, when I knew we were preparing to stay home. It's Miserly Moms by Joni McCoy, Jonni McCoy. This is a great read. This woman basically wanted to she knew she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, or something happened with her husband. I don't remember. I read it a long time ago, but it was a great read because she gives you all these resources how to cut your grocery budget. So she gives recipes on how to make things from scratch. It's just a really great source of encouragement, especially for a woman who is wanting to leave the workforce and be at home for her family, and how to go about cutting that grocery budget. You just kind of read the book and then you're kind of like, I can do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make homemade fruit roll-ups, damn it. And I found it a good resource. So if it's an oldie but a goodie, check it out. It's all over the library system. I know you could definitely get it in your library. So before you purchase the book, I would check it out from the library, see if you find any recipes that you like. Let me know if you've read it. It's a good book. This book, I don't remember reading it page to page, but I have seen them all over news channels, things like that. The Economides, the complete, what is it called? America's Cheapest Family, Stephen and Annette Economides. If you look up they have a YouTube channel. I don't know if they have an official channel, but they've been featured on news programs, things like that. It's this family that, and I especially love going and watching their news features when they do on live television. It's this family that basically slashed their budget, and they've lived very, very well. I think their income was $30,000. And they take you through how they did that, how they slashed their budgets on many things. And I would definitely Google them and see if you could find some of their videos on YouTube, because they take you to the supermarket, in NBC News and the Today Show. They'll show you how they go grocery shopping and things like that. And I thought it was really encouraging that, here's this family, all 5 of their kids, or I think they have 5 kids, 4 or 5 kids. They have a larger family, but they go buy used clothing. The kids are on board with what they purchased at the supermarket. They work together as a family. It was a really interesting read. I picked up a few tips here and there. I don't remember it being mind-blowing, but I thought it was a pretty good read at the time. So If this is something that might be interesting to you, definitely check it out at the library. I enjoyed the book and some of the tips that were in there. I also just enjoyed reading about the family, but I do enjoy the videos more than anything. And occasionally, again, I will go back and watch those videos. So I will also do a review of that when I do my YouTube, my favorite YouTube financial stuff. So definitely check out. It's the Economides. It was America's Cheapest Family. So it's a big, thick book. It's like an encyclopedia of like how to be cheap. Moving on from that is, I remember when we were living on like sticks and dirt and saving for a house, and we were getting ready for me to stay at home. I was pregnant. I started reading the Tightwad Gazette, which is a series of books that I found I basically went to the personal finance section of our local library, and every library I found, I just like poured through all of their books. Another author, before I forget, I don't have her books listed because she does a lot of stuff with David Bach, the guy who wrote The Automatic Millionaire, Jean Chatzky, but I don't find, the reason I'm not listing any of her books is because I don't find any of her books to be mind-blowingly enough for me to go purchase them. If you find them for free at the library, she's not saying anything that you might not already know. I would recommend David Bach's books over hers. I felt that it was better written, and I don't know, it's just something about her writing style just didn't speak to me. She's great. She did a series with Oprah TV show a bunch of years ago. You could probably find, if you Google Jean Chatzky Oprah, you'll find this special she did on the Oprah show where these people go and they're in like enormous mountains of debt, and they send in a different financial advisor, and Jean Chatzky was one of them, and that's where I started finding out about her. David Bach was one of them, Jean was one of them, and I forget the third person that they examined 3 families. I'm digressing, so let's move on. So Tightwad Gazette, really enjoyed like reading just little things like that, how people do really frugal stuff. Some of the stuff is like a little mind-blowing. It's not something I would do, but it's a source of inspiration for you on how to cut bills, how to lower your heating bill, things like that. It's like all kinds of little stories of how people basically are tightwads. It's really cute. Okay, so we did the Economides. A book now. This guy did a blog. It kind of blew up. It's called, you may have heard of it, it's called The Simple Dollar. I don't follow the blog as much anymore, and I did read the book. If you can get the book from the library, I would do it. I found the writing to be very dry and a little uninteresting, but I do enjoy his blog. So if you haven't checked it out, it's The Simple Dollar. I don't think the book is, again, mind-blowing, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to pick it up and kind of follow his journey. But you could do the same thing on the blog. So I don't even know why I'm saying it. But if you've heard of it, The Simple Dollar, I wouldn't unrecommend it from the library. It's just an extra resource. Another book I would highly recommend, and this was, again, I started reading this when I was pregnant and wanting to save money, knowing that I was becoming a stay-at-home mom, is by Elizabeth Warren, and it's The Two Income Trap. And before Elizabeth Warren got to the White House, I was following, her books. She taught at Harvard. She's a lawyer. I think her daughter's a lawyer. This was a really good book because it was kind of an eye-opener about how America is in this two-income trap, and it's, how the middle class is basically like drowning themselves. And it was a really interesting read. I would definitely recommend it. It just kind of gives you a different view on, a two-income family versus a one-income family. I enjoyed reading it. I thought the writing was pretty good. So if you find it in your library, definitely don't buy it. Just get it from the library, because I know that they have usually her books at the library. So that is that. I would have to say, of the books that I mentioned, my favorites are the Pocket Your Dollars by Carrie Rocha, definitely the Crystal Paine book, the Money Saving Moms budget book. I would definitely recommend that one. Again, I told you I have it in audio. And probably one of my all-time favorites is the Dave Ramsey, The Total Money Makeover. Not because of his whole system. I do think I did enjoy it. I enjoy his writing style. He's very personable. You feel like he's talking to you in the book. And I love that his wife chimes in here and there and adds things in, I think, Financial Peace as well. And I loved all the stories that they put of people's success stories and how they're on the road to success if they haven't achieved their money makeover yet. and they list these stories of like these people with these gigantic financial burdens, and they're coming out of it alive and well and kicking, which I thought was really interesting. So those are definitely, I have that one on audiobook as well. I have Financial Peace on audiobook. I have the Financial Peace DVDs and CDs. So I've said enough about Dave Ramsey. I really like it. On my list of things to read is there's a biography on Warren Buffett. I think he's such an interesting financial character. It's definitely, I will listen to anything about Warren Buffett. I think he's a very interesting man. I like how solid and no nonsense he is about certain things, and I really enjoy listening to him speak. There's different speeches he's done at colleges. I like to watch those on YouTube sometimes when I'm doing my dishes. There's another book that's I've been seeing it a lot. I don't know why I haven't picked up a copy of it, is I Will Teach You to Be Rich. If you've read it, let me know if you like it. And also, I did want to mention, you notice there's no Susie Orman books in my list of books that I'm recommending. I've read a lot of her books. I'm not a super big fan of hers, mostly because she does not, it's not that she promotes debt, it's just that I'm not a super big fan of her methods of financial, I don't know, I didn't find her advice to be as good, in my opinion, as, say, someone like Dave Ramsey. I think she offers certain things, but I don't think her writing is anything to be amazed by. It's just my own personal thing. You'll see she's a big bestseller. She's on all the bookshelves. She's not my thing. So I didn't get much from her books. I got way more from the Millionaire Next Door book. I mean, that book, if you haven't read it, you need to go read that book. It's kind of mind-blowing. It really is going to change the way you think about how you shop. It's really going to change the way that you, especially if you are someone like me who overspends on, occasionally on like luxury brands and things like that. I think it's perfectly okay for people to spend when you have it and it's in your budget. But I have a very bad tendency to overspend and totally think that I'm a millionaire when I'm definitely not. So, I'm definitely guilty of it. I have no issues confessing that. It's something I'm working on, but these are books that have helped me work on that, and I got a lot from that book. So hope this was helpful to you. My next video on finances will probably be my favorite bloggers, and there's some really good blogs out there that I always, if I have a quick minute and I'm feeling like I'm spending too much and I have an urge to overspend, I'll go and check out these blogs, and it'll just remind me why I shouldn't be spending on certain things that are not in our budget. So, in any event, hope this was helpful to you. I would love to hear from you guys. What are some of your favorite financial books? And if you'd like me to do a specific book review on moving forward on books that I am going to be reading, I would love to share that with you. It's crazy. I was gone for 2 months from YouTube, and I come back, everybody's reading this magic tidying up book. Everybody's reorganizing their closet and folding their clothes special ways, and Bruce Jenner became a chick. I don't know. Things are crazy. So if you would like me to do a book review on books that I'm going to be reading, but I am going to read the I Will Teach You to Be Rich, and I would like to read a biography on Warren Buffett. Those are my two next on my to-do list. And I also will be doing, I am going to be picking up a copy of the Say Goodbye to Survival Mode by Crystal Paine, because again, I loved her Money Saving Mom book so much, so I'm curious to see how that book is going. So anyways, I will talk to you all soon. Hope you are all well, and thanks so much for watching. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye.